Somewhere buried in all the sponsored posts, ads, and weird suggestions that I see on Instagram, I ran across an account that posts stories of people being good and light in the world and changing someone's life in the process. It makes me tear up when I read them, and I really hope that they're true. One story was of a bookstore worker who had a teenager come in every day to read. When this person asked the teen if they were looking for anything, the teen just said the library was too far away and he couldn't afford books, so he was just reading. The worker would bring him snacks, got to know him, and learned that this teenager was in foster care and on his 7th home. Started giving him books that she claimed were damaged and couldn't sell them. When he aged out of foster care, this person helped the teenager apply for college and scholarships. He ended up getting a full ride and became an English teacher. Now he brings students to this bookstore, tells them his story, and buys books for the kids who can't afford them. And he tells them that a bookstore worker gave him sanctuary, knowledge, and hope, and taught that one person caring changes trajectories. That's the kind of stuff that I would rather see online. Stories of people seeing past labels and caring for their neighbors, pulling people out of despair and changing lives in the process. A reading from Luke. Then they arrived at the region of Gerasene, which is opposite Galilee. As Jesus stepped out on the shore, a man from the city who had demons met him. For a long time he had not worn any clothes, and he did not live in a house, but in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him, shouting, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." For Jesus had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For many times it had seized him. He was kept under guard and bound with chains and shackles, but he would break the bonds and be driven by the demon into the wilds. Jesus then asked him, "What is your name?" He said, "Legion," for many demons had entered him. They begged him not to order them back into the abyss. Now there on the hillside, a large herd of swine was feeding, and the demons begged Jesus to let them enter these. So he gave them permission. Then the demons came out of the man and entered the swine, and the herd stampeded down the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. When the swineherds heard what had happened, they ran off and told it in the city and in the country. Then the people came out to see what had happened, and when they saw Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they became frightened. Those who had seen it told them how the one who had been possessed by the demons had been healed. Then the whole throng of people of the surrounding region of Gerasene asked Jesus to leave them, for they were seized with great fear. So he got into the boat and returned. The man from whom the demons had gone out begged that he might be with him, but Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return to your home and declare how much God has done for you." So he went away, proclaiming throughout the city how much Jesus had done for him. So our focus text for this week is the story of a man known as the Gerasene demoniac, a man who was possessed by many demons. And this man lived in the tombs and was cut off from the world. When he saw Jesus, the demons immediately recognized who Jesus was and begged Jesus not to torment them, not to send them back into the abyss. And Jesus didn't just ignore them. Instead, he asked the demon's name, and the answer was Legion, for there were many demons. And the demons begged Jesus to have mercy on them, and he gave them permission to enter this herd of swine or pigs. And when it happened, the herd stampeded down a steep bank into a lake and were drowned. The man who had been possessed was found at the feet of Jesus wearing clothes for the first time in years, completely unrecognizable. He begged Jesus to go with him, but Jesus told him to go back home. Tell others what God did for him, and so he did. The people of the city were amazed by what had happened, amazed, but also very frightened. The people in the area had been afraid of this man. They couldn't control him. They had tried to protect him and themselves by binding him with chains, but the chains didn't hold him. And eventually they just gave up and left him to his own devices. So he lived in a tomb, dead to those around him. The man did not ask Jesus for help. Instead, he begged Jesus to leave him alone. But Jesus didn't. Instead, Jesus asked for his name. The demons spoke for him. Jesus granted them permission to leave the man, which sent them to their deaths, the place that they did not want to go, back into the abyss. Now, I see parallels in the story that I told in the beginning. Not that the teenager was possessed by demons, because he wasn't, but the fact that initially he was just hoping to be left alone, not noticed, so he wouldn't be asked to leave the bookstore. But the bookstore employee got to know him, allowed him to stay, made space for him, and by doing this, helped him change his life. He didn't stay in the bookstore. He went to college and became a teacher so that he could change the lives of others. And Jesus told the man who had been possessed by demons that he could not go with Jesus, but instead sent him back home to tell of the good things that God had done for him. This teenager brought students back to the store and told them of the good that one kind person did for him that changed his life. And now he is, in turn, changing the lives of his students, paying it forward. And this is what God does in our lives. God meets us where we are, in whatever circumstances we're in, and puts people in our lives to help us, or puts us in other people's lives to help them. God takes us out of despair and raises us up to new life. God works through ordinary people doing something for someone who can't do it for themselves, to change their lives. All it takes is one person taking the time to care, shining the light of Christ to another, being the good that we wish to see in the world. It's what it means to be the hands and feet of God. And sometimes fear holds us back from doing good. Sometimes we don't see the impact we make, so we get discouraged or feel like it doesn't matter. When that happens, do it anyway. You never know the impact that you will make on a single person through your words and deeds. And this goes for the good and the not so good. This is where choosing kind, choosing good, choosing light, it changes the world. Maybe not for every person that we encounter, but at least for one. And that one becomes two, and two becomes four, and four becomes eight, and pretty soon we have exponential growth of good being done. But the story is about more than just going and doing good, as important as it is for us to do. It's about what Jesus did for someone who could not save himself. What Jesus did for this man could not do for himself. This man who was possessed by a legion could not free himself, could not control himself, and really could not ask for help. Jesus changed this by calling him back to life. This man was living in the tombs as good as dead, but Jesus delivered him from this oppression. Jesus was not afraid of legion. Jesus confronted legion, disrupted what this flock of demons was doing to this man, and then sent them out, bringing this man back to life. And that's what Jesus does for us also. Jesus goes where we cannot go, does what we cannot do, so we can be free from the things of this life that keep us chained, the things that keep us living in the tombs. Jesus meets us at the tomb we find ourselves occupying. Jesus meets us in the crosses we bear in this life, and in the cross that Jesus carried for us. Now, you would think that the people of the community, that this man who was possessed by all of these demons would be happy about what Jesus did, but instead they were afraid. Fear doesn't just go away overnight. And the pain and memories of trauma don't just disappear. This man who Jesus had changed his life, he still had to carry the trauma of what had happened with him. We all carry our own traumas with us. Healing is a process. And God still meets us where we are at within our own healing process. We are loved by God. We are forgiven by God, and we are called by God to be light, to be good, and to tell others of how God calls us out of darkness into life. Even when we are afraid of healing, afraid of change because the unknown is scary, and sometimes the known, even when it's not great, is at least comforting, we have to remember that God is there for us. Healing is worth it. Becoming an exponential growth of good in the world is worth it. Being pulled out of despair is worth it. During the season of Lent, when we journey to the cross, let us be reminded of just how important Jesus' journey to the cross was and still is for us. Jesus does for us what we cannot. Jesus goes where we are afraid to go. Jesus breathes new life into us through his own death on the cross. And then Jesus tells us to go out and tell of what God has done so that others may hear of this grace and mercy. Jesus shows us that agape love is indeed greater than despair. This is the good news that Jesus brought to the man from Gerasene and the people who were afraid. This is the good news Jesus brings to us. Thanks be to God for that. Amen. A couple of reflection questions for you to go deeper into the message this week. The first question is, how has someone been a light in the world to you? The second is, how do you tell others the story of what God has done for you? And your challenge, be the light and the good for someone in your community this week. And also tell someone the story of how God has been a light for you.